take it away.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to come in and give a quick couple of statements. Nothing too crazy. First off, wanted to say hi. Happy Monday. Looking forward to moving into liftoff with you all. Appreciate the wave, Kevin. I like that. And then just a couple of reminders, then answer any questions that you all might have. So first and foremost, Thursday, it is just a catch-up day. As Kyle has already mentioned, there's no lecture. So utilize that time to finish up and wrap up any assignments or Studio 19 should you need to. If you are not, if you're someone that you think you're not going to be able to complete the assignments on time, get them turned in on time, reach out for help, whether that's me or Kyle or your TA, because that's the.
What about Taylor?
What's that?
Taylor could be another person.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. But we can't help you if you don't ask. So that's the first most important thing. I've been chatting with your TAs to see how I can help, but please reach out to me or anybody else if you do think that you need some help finishing up and wrapping up those assignments, so that we can give you that help and get you graduated, because it's a fun night. You deserve to graduate. You've made it this far. I'm sure you're looking forward to it. So if you need help, please reach out. But assignments 1 through 4 and then Studio 19, I believe, are due by the end of the night on Thursday. If you're not going to be able to get those turned in, reach out to myself or your TA so that we can make some accommodations to get those looked at when you are finished with them. But please reach out if you need some help. Otherwise, I will see you all on Thursday night. I'll be here to chat with you all if needed. And then additionally, starting in December for liftoff. So looking forward to jumping into that with you all. Please fill out that opt-in survey if you haven't done so yet. That really gives me a good idea of how many TAs I'm going to need for liftoff, if I need to bring in some more based on how many of you have opted in. So please fill that out if you are someone that is going to be participating in liftoff, so that I can have a more appropriate count on what to expect. There is a deadline to have that completed by next Monday. After that point, you may not get into liftoff should you not have that survey filled out and completed. So please fill that out. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your evening tonight. I'm going to throw things back over to Kyle, but I will see you on Thursday and we'll chat some more then. But feel free to reach out to me for any questions. I'll be around this evening.
Awesome. Thank you very much, John. It's just super exciting. Oh my gosh. Everybody, welcome to the lecture. It is the last one. And as John just said, graduation is coming up. You guys have made it so far. Getting this stuff going here. Oh my gosh. Just like my heart's pounding right now. And it's just getting sadder and sadder, but like bittersweet. All right. Let's talk tech, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and swipe on. Actually, I'm gonna exit out of that. There we go. All right, let me go and get our stuff going here. Where is all my stuff? There we go. How's everyone doing tonight? Like high stress, low stress, crazy stress, kind of hungry?
They're good.
Very good. 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 All right. All righty. It's time for the rest of class, everyone. Get these participants. God, aren't I just funny? If I didn't laugh at my own jokes, I don't know what I would do. I would have gone absolutely more insane in what do they call that, quarantine. Here, look at my Slack up here. Give me Slack. Oh no. Why would you let me have Slack on? Oh, because I full screened it. Ew. Might be on full screen that first and then share. There we go, Kyle. Come on. Here we go. We got 75 friends, 75 coders, 75 people who know a thing or two about Java. Let's start learning for the last time today. I got extra coffee today because I just want to make sure my full jitters are like fully operational for this. Oh, all right, everyone. Let's dive into this today. Time for rest. Don't we need some rest, right? Wouldn't that be nice, especially for Monday? All right, announcements. here we go. As you already know, I'm sure assignment number 4 is there knocking at the front door asking, are you done with me or not? If you are not, make sure you're reaching out to your TAs, TFs, colleagues, myself, anybody, Elon Musk, anybody it takes to get that thing across the line. As an
Elon
addition,
Musk is autistic.
oh, well, I did not know that. But if he helps, he helps. So feel free to send him an email, probably elonmusk@gmail.com, who knows. And then also Studio 19. Don't forget about Studio 19. That is also an assignment. So make sure that is done. Get it across the line too for your TAs. Check it out. It's all about authentication. All right, enough of that. Enough of that assignment stuff. We'll get into the more fun stuff, which is graduation on November 29th. As John already mentioned, make sure that you have already registered, got your tickets, told your parents, told your friends, told your families, neighbors, and that one guy that you know at work sometimes that you kind of talk to at lunchtime. Invite everyone you want to graduation. It will be on November 29th at 6 p.m. And then, as you already know, because I am keeping back the tears because this has been so much fun. We will not have lecture on Thursday because today is the last lecture. So make sure you go to your small groups though, because it is a work day for that assignment number 4. So these are our announcements. Any questions from anybody? Yes, thank you very much. I will turn those on right now. Closed captioning. Let me go and do that. Gotta forget something at the last lecture, of course. There we go. I think I got everything else. So there we go. All righty. Any final questions before we dive in to the final thing? And let's finally get at it. All right. We've seen all this before. Talk to me here just for a little bit longer, just for one more time. We're going to be sending over requests, but we're going to be having a, but we have a UI on this side. If we're sending over a request to view something on our UI, what kind of request are we sending over to the controller? Feel free to unmute yourself and talk to me.
Get.
Get. Very good. We're going to do get. And then after we send that get, we get back a response. For some reason, my animations have been out of order on these guys. So yes, a get localhost, and it builds that page. Very good. So we're going to say with this login screen that we have here. So if we have that login screen, and my gosh, I don't know what the heck's going on with this thing. There we go. We have our login screen. We type in all of our information, our username, our password, and then we click that login button. We send over a request, but what kind of request is it? When we click that login button, what kind of request is it?
Post.
It's going to be a post because an event just occurred. We clicked a button. We're going to send information over to our controller. We have a post there. So this request we sent over was a post with a specific URL. It sends that information over to the controller. So we've been learning a lot about these requests. You know, 2 very popular ones, the get and the post. So today we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about these and exactly what it is. So as you already know, we have our UI side on the left-hand side. That's what you're in front of right now. You're in front of a client side, a user interface, your front-end portion of the application. This thing that we're on right now talks to a controller, talks to the server on the server side. You already know about this conversation. The UI is going to try to talk to the server saying, hey, I'm sending you a request. Okay, nothing crazy here. But what we take for granted every day is that we just assume that our controllers talk the same language. But that's not always the case. What if our controller was in Germany? Or what if our controller or our server is in Japan or anywhere else that does not speak the same language? Well, these requests then would not go through. That's what we're here to talk about today. Though the world might speak different languages, computers are all supposed to speak on the same language. So let's talk about that languages that computers speak in together. So we have our UI side and our controller side there, and we have a request sending over there. The way we talk from our UI to our the way we talk to our UI side and our controller side is through a general conversation called REST, or representational representational state transfer. And Sky, I like your comment that they do talk in ones and zeros, but just like us, we still talk with our voices, but it's about translating those ones to zeros into a common language that we can all understand, or all of our devices can understand. And that's where REST comes in, is that this is the common language or the common protocol that we utilize to talk between machines, at least when these machines are external. So when it comes to this controller talking to our UI side, we have this representative, or we have the REST protocol that we talk in different ways. So the one way that you know about that's very popular is the GET. GET is able to see or get information so we can view it on our UI side. Then you also know about the next one, which is POST. POST is there to place information into the server, or sorry, send information over to the server, have something happen, and send something back. But there are more out there than just these two things, because we do a lot when it comes to transferring information all across the world or all across computers and devices. So real quick before I dive in there, real quick, I got a comment. So I was wondering if there's a different, I was wondering about that, if different languages translate properly to ones and zeros for computers / data in a different language. Well, technically everything will get transferred into ones and zeros, but it will still be translated back into that original language. But we all have, in computers, again, we all have this REST protocol that we talk kind of in the same language between machines. So we know about the GET and the POST. That's how we send information to view it or get information from a server. POST is how we share information back and forth and have something happen. The next one is called PUT. PUT is one that we just want to send information directly to a controller and don't care too much about what comes back. We want to put something into our server so it talks to the database or something like that. We just want to send information kind of one way to our server. That would be a PUT. And then there's delete also. Delete, as it sounds, will remove something over on our server side, typically from a database, or remove some kind of information or of some sorts. So delete is another way, or another kind of conversation that we have with our servers. These RESTful, these protocols that we just talked about, the GET, POST, PUT, and delete, all stand for something when we're sending over these requests to our server. It tells our server what we want. Now, these are just 4 popular ones. There's also other ones out there called patch. I'm trying to think of everything right now. There's patch, there's option, there is, I'm trying to think of any other ones that I have right now. We're gonna see all of them here in a moment, but there's like, let's see, like 8 to 10 major ones out there. But these are the ones you'll typically see. GET is the most popular, while POST is right behind it. PUT and delete are also fairly popular too. So these are different requests that we can send over to our controller to do something on our server side. So continuing on, I have no idea what the heck this thing is doing every single time now. So when we send over a request, we are sending over our GET requests, where we have our HTTP and our login. So we're going back to our login example here. So from our UI side, we send over a GET request. Now, these requests that we've been talking about have more information than we have been actually having conversations about, because we're just taking it for granted. One of those things is exactly what we're sending over or what we are expecting back. Right now, you know that when we send over a request for www.whatever, bing.com, we get back a website. We get back HTML or text. That's so far what we have been accepting, as you can see here in our request. We have to tell our server what we want back. Do you want a web page back? Do you want text back? But that's not always what servers provide. Eventually, I will understand why this just keeps being repetitive. All right, there we go. So whenever we send back the response, it will send back actually the HTML. So we'll say, okay, you wanted to accept text and HTML, that's fine. So it sends back the response with our HTML already created, with our content. It will also tell us what it's sending back to in the content type. And also the major thing that we need to talk about is the status. it will tell us how things went on the server side. So this 200 here says that everything's okay. The status is also something that we really need to pay attention to. You've seen statuses before, and you're very aware of them. One very common one is 404 or 400. You've seen all those too, and also 500s too. That can also cause a pretty bad headache on a Saturday or a Monday morning. So let's talk about all of the statuses that we have. The one that we just said and we really like is this 200-OK. This means that everything went A-OK, have a great day, continue on with your stuff. But let's talk about the other ones. Again, I apologize for my animations. Everything has been out of whack since I downloaded it. So one is we have 204. 204 is also okay, but it means that, okay, something happened on the server side, but I wasn't requested to send you back anything, so just keep going with your day, but I have nothing for you. That typically will occur if you're doing an update or a put that we just talked about. The other ones that you've already noticed too are this 400, 404, and 500. The 404 means bad, the 400 means bad request. Something happened when building your site or taking in your request, and it's not my fault, says the server, it's yours. You told me something bad, and I don't know what to do with this. Get out of my head. That's what the 400 means. 404 means, okay, you sent me over a request, but you are trying to find something that doesn't exist, aka websites. If you go to just a random website and you don't actually, or you mess up the URL or something like that, that's a 404. It's not found. I can't do anything with that information you sent me. Then comes 500. 500 typically means that it's the server side's fault. While processing your information or in your request or anything like that, if you get back a 500, it means that the server blew up. There was probably a small fire somewhere in Virginia or Ohio or wherever those server farms are going, and aka something bad happened on the server side. It's not your fault. Google messed up this time. That's what 500 means. Or if you're working on your application, it means take a look at your controllers. There's probably something in there. So these are our statuses. They tell us a lot about the information, how things went over on the server side. It's what we really care about on the UI side. So we know, okay, when I get back this information, is it actually good? Or did something go awry when I was sending over a request 200 miles away? So when it comes to this information and talking between our UIs and our controller side, we need to make sure that we're always paying attention to these conversations. Now, take a pause right now and see where we're at in what we've been doing in this class so far. You have worked with the UI sides. You've worked with HTML. You've been able to build a website. You've also been able to go on the server side. You're able to crunch that information and send back the jobs they want or the dogs they want or anything like that. You're able to send back those responses. But so far, we've been in our own bubble. We've only been on our own machine. The world is not on our own machine. There's a giant world of information out there that is just asking to be tapped into. There are other servers than our own out there that can provide us substantial help or information or processing that we like to connect to. This is where the true power of the internet opens up. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is actually how to have conversations with other people other than ourselves on the internet, other servers besides our own. So let's go ahead and talk to some strangers. Now, in this scenario, let's say we have our UI side and we have our controller side as always. But in this case, I don't want dogs. I don't want pets or anything like that. I want to send a request over for something different. I want to send it over for weather data. Now, I personally, on my machine, don't have the world's weather data on my, or anywhere accessible, anywhere on my device. So when I send over this request and get back a response, I need to talk to something different. I need to talk to something called an API. So we, like we said, we do not have the internet on our machines. We don't have all the data that we need. So we have to talk to something external. How we talk to something external or somewhere that also has a lot of data is called an API. I mean, that's what we're going to be exploring here. So what an API is, oh my gosh, what in tarnation is going on here? I apologize. What an API is that it's a way to have our UI side, our websites, talk to another information source to gather what it has. In this case, we're going to be talking to something today that has weather information on it. Again, I don't want to collect all the weather information for all the world. I don't have time for that. I have no space for the weather that's going on halfway across the world, but someone else has. Other organizations have. And so we need to be able to talk to them in some capacity. So one tool I want to introduce you all today to do this is a thing called Postman. Postman is a tool in which is utilized to talk to APIs in a very manual way. It's a way for us as humans to talk to APIs and see exactly how the conversation is going. So this is the first thing I want to show you all today. So let's go and hop over to it. I'm going to go and rearrange my stuff. So Postman here is essentially an application that I can send requests to different servers. Can I send it to my own one on localhost? Absolutely. Can I send one across the world to Tokyo and get the information from their stock markets? Absolutely. Postman allows us to do this in a manual sense, so a human can talk to an API instead of just a computer talking to an API. So this is our first starting point to actually discovering information on the web. Up here, we'll be able to see all of the different requests that I can send. And like I said, there's a lot out there. We know about the get, the post, the put, and the delete. But these are all different requests that are out there of how machines are talking to each other. And then, of course, we have what we actually need to send over. This is the URL. Today, we're going to be exploring these APIs. So let's go ahead and get introduced to one. We'll come back to Postman in a little bit. Like we said, we wanted to talk to our weather information. So we need to send over a request to this weather information in itself. The weather information that we're going to be talking to today is on an external API from an organization that's very well known, and it's called Open Weather, openweathermap.org. This is an organization that collects information, collects information of weather all around the world constantly. So we can get current predictions and everything like that, and it's completely open to the public. So if anybody is curious about that, it's at openweathermap.org here. And so basically, when you come to openweathermap.org here, we can go to API, and then we're introduced to the other APIs inside of here. So there are multiple that we can subscribe to, and we'll talk about these in just a moment. But now we actually know what an API is and where we can go to find one, Open Weather Map. But we need to talk about one more thing before we're actually able to utilize our APIs here. So when we're actually trying to get our weather information, it'd be way easier if this animation actually worked. When we send over a request from our UI to our external source of information, information on the web is not always readily available, as in we just don't open it to anybody, because that is absolutely unsafe. As you know, in today's society, data is absolutely everything. Personal data, financial data, weather data, recipe data, anything like that has some amount of, essentially, I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but essentially it is valuable to somebody. And there are people out there, or just machines or crawlers sometimes, that just go out there to try to absorb data in order for some financial or malicious purpose. I say this because as a young programmer, I used to just hit APIs for free to download their data and just do stuff with it. And eventually, those servers on the other end have to pay the electricity bill. And so as people are just absorbing free information, they don't really like that because they are stuck with the bill while you have all of their data. Hence, we open it up to a certain way to secure this. A lot of API companies are very, very giving of their data, but don't like it if you try to steal all of it for your own purpose of whatever it might be. So what I'm trying to say is that APIs are technically a little locked down, but we're going to learn how to unlock them. How we do that is with something, and note, you better show it. Yeah, no. Oh, you are just being a total turd. Excuse my language. We're going to have a talk PowerPoint after this. I'm going to show you because you all need to see this. There we go. I'm going to exit out of that too. There we go. All right. We're going to do it from here today. Of course, this is the last lecture. It's like, oh, this is, of course, the one that doesn't work. All right. This is what I wanted to show you. We send over requests, but that information is locked down inside of that API. So what we utilize is a thing called an API key. An API key is something that after you create an account, you are given, and this key is unique to you, to your account. API companies give you a certain amount of requests per day, per hour, per month, per year, depending on what they want to do. And it all goes under that key so they can kind of track how much usage that you're having. You personally, if you're just trying to do a personal project with APIs, you're going to be A-okay. You can use as many requests as you want. What they're looking for are other large companies trying to utilize their data at a high rate, meaning like 25,000 requests per second. Those kinds of amounts of requests are what they're looking for, not us just doing 1 or 2 a day. So rest easy knowing that these API keys, when you're trying to get them, are fairly easy to get. Most APIs are free for private use like this. There are some that are locked down. Google is kind of a stickler on its data, of course, but there are a lot of open ones out there that you can utilize. So let's go ahead and talk about our API keys. I've already signed up for an account here. So I'm already logged in. I've created an account through openweathermap.org. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my API keys. Here, you're able to set up a key and everything like that. You're able to generate your key, and I already have one generated. So I have my key here. That's awesome. So once I have my key, that's half the battle. The next thing is like, okay, where do I actually send my key and my request to? And that's where the documentation comes in. Coding does require a little bit of reading. We have to find out exactly what path we need to go to get the information that we want. So what I'm going to do is that I see that I have current weather data here, and I'm going to go to the API doc here. Sometimes documentation is easy to find, sometimes it's harder to find. It all depends on the company that you're working with. Down here now is where we can actually find what we want to do. So it says, oh, here's your API calls. Do you want to call with the city name? Do you want to call with the city and state name? Do you want to call with the city, state, and country code? However specific you need to get. Because if you're trying to go for Springfield, there's a couple of Springfields out there, so you might want to get more specific. So that's why they made these 3 types of API calls. Right now, I'm just going to stick with a very simple one, the city name there, and then my API key. So what I do is I come over here, and I'm going to go to my friend Postman. I'm just going to paste that in there. So I just pasted that exact link into Postman. Now, the fun thing about Postman is that it just saw that the parameters that you wanted to include in your query. It says city name and API key. So what I'm going to do is that for city name, I'm going to put St. Louis. Just like that. And then it needs my API key. Well, we already saw that. If it was under Kyle and API keys, please don't steal my API key. I might have to take this one off. But what we do is we put that API key right there. And so now we're able to send over a request. So we have St. Louis and this API key, and we press send. Once we do that, it comes back in this little format here. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this just a bit. So we see our status is 200 OK. It means everything went A-OK. It tells us how long the request actually took, which was about a second, and then how big everything is. And then we come over here and we actually can see what the format came back in. And this one, it isn't text and HTML, it's another format that you're familiar with too. It's called JSON. JSON meaning we have a giant object of just weather data here. So now I can come down here and I can just see all the information that we just got back, what the humidity is here in St. Louis, what the temp is in Kelvin, because Kelvin is the more scientific standard. So I'll give it back in Kelvin, which I'll just have to edit that if you wanted to. And then your lat long, exactly where we are. I believe that's the correct St. Louis too. Yeah, that looks about the right coordinates. And then also it looks like it's a few clouds outside. Well, it's dark, I don't even know. But what we just saw, everyone, is that we were able to get weather data from wherever this place is externally for free to us. And this is just weather data. Other information out there exists too. Maybe weather isn't really what floats your boat. Maybe you want to get that stock information. Check out Yahoo Financial API. If you want to do recipes, check out OpenSpoon API. If you want to get just information about pets, Humane Society and other things like that have different feeds that you can read off of. There is a lot of external data out there to do a lot of good. And APIs are a way that we can actually communicate with those systems to do something with their information that they have readily available. Something new. And that's what we just saw, the first start of it for Postman. So real quick, I'm gonna open up to any questions about Postman, anything with the API there, anything about APIs in general. Anything?
Nobody has questions about APIs.
Kyle, I got questions, man.
There we go.
What's up? There you go. What's up, Mark?
Okay, so the API itself is code, right? And so is that written in like whatever language someone wants to write it in, or is there a universal like API container code? Like, is it all done in JavaScript, or you can write them in Python, or like what's going on underneath the hood of the API itself?
Sure. So an API can be written in any language that you'd like. It can be written in Python. It can be written in Java, JavaScript, aka Node. It can be written in C++, C#, anything that you want. The API, and you've already developed an API, technically. Your controllers are APIs.
Really?
Your API is the thing that sits between your UI and your database.
That's cool.
In a sense, you have already created a type of API, one that takes in information and sends back over some. Though it's not the true sense of what an API is, that is what that is supposed to be like. You're supposed to send requests over to a server, an API, and it sends you back information. Your controllers do exactly that. So in a sense, you've already created one. An API is an application programmable application program. My gosh, I always forget it. Like programmable interface or something like that. What it is that it is programming interface. Yes, and basically what it is the middleman to give you any information possible. APIs exist because though the information is out there, it is absolutely unsafe to open up your database directly to the internet. We never want to open up our MySQL directly to that internet. Instead, we have a security guard, a bouncer, an API between the world, our user interfaces, our client side, and our database, our persistence layer. And that's where the API lives, right there, to handle those requests.
That's a great analogy. I'm going to think of it as a bouncer from now on.
It is kind of a bouncer. It really does. And
really
as you
helpful.
saw with authentication. Awesome.
All course, I've been wondering exactly what an API is. You know, you read the stuff online. It's like, I need a better analogy. So now I have one. Thank you.
Absolutely. Happy to help. So yeah, and why I'm trying to go so much in depth in this, because as we move into liftoff, these APIs become more and more prevalent, especially when we go into actual corporate life. Every company that is out there hiring talks to external services, and APIs are an absolute integral part. All right, I got a question here. Is there a way to translate the data if it is in a different language than you're working with without rewriting your whole app to match the API's language? Now, Katie, real quick, are you talking about a language as in a human language or a computer language? So the computer language is universal. We already talked about it, which is in REST. That is the only language, or one of the most popular languages that are spoken between computers. So if I have a client side that's written in JavaScript and I'm talking to an API that's written in whatever, Python, it doesn't matter what it's written in because they're talking in the same tongue. They're talking via REST. Why I'm saying that is because we just sent over this request to OpenWeather. OpenWeather, I have no idea what their server is written in. No idea. It could be C++, it could be, oh my gosh, like Scala, anything. But the fact is that we talked through it via REST using this GET and this URL. And I got back something in JSON. JSON is a common format. So now I can utilize this in my application no matter what it's written in. So what I'm trying to say is that,
like,
yeah.
So this returned in JSON. If you're writing your program in something else other that wouldn't read JSON, is there a way to translate it or have that come back in a different format?
So JSON is a very common format to where every programming language can know it because it's a way to configure data. So JSON can be read by any programming language. But if you wanted to turn this JSON into another kind of format that people transfer stuff in is XML, which looks a lot like HTML. There's things that you can parse stuff in that way. But what I'm trying to get at is that you wouldn't want to reconfigure it. You'd want to read the JSON, and any language can talk to it. Yep, JSON is universal, and it's actually the most probably the most common now format that's talked between computers out there in the world. The previous one was XML, and it was disgusting. Back in my day, that's all we had, XML.
Got ya. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hopefully that helps, Katie. So that was me just ranting about XML. See, 2 people typing. Anybody wants to speak at me? Oh, nice. What's a common request per whatever? Let's see. Let's see for open weather. See what pricing is. So you go over here to pricing. A lot of these APIs will have one. I'm of course under free. Right now it says that I can have only 60 calls a minute, 60 requests a minute. I can have up to 1 million calls a month. So that goes for any of the APIs that I use. So this would be a kind of common one. This is actually a lot, 1 million calls, but you sometimes need it for weather data because you want to get every hour on the hour. Some I know are like, they limit you at 250,000 calls a month or something like that. But it's, like I said, for personal projects, you are A-okay to be using this because you're not going to be doing it that much. They're looking for startups. They're looking for enterprises, people like that who need that data constantly for hundreds upon hundreds of users, hundreds upon thousands of users. That's who they're looking for. But for our just common projects, it's usually fairly good. And Hope, that is really cool. That is a really cool project. I'm definitely interested in taking a look at that. Yeah, Andrew, hopefully that helps see you typing. Are there tricks to getting more data with only 1 call instead of 10 calls while gathering more specific data? Technically, yes, if the API allows. That's kind of the magic of an API, is that 1 call is 1 call. So when I make this call here, it's going to set the ticker up by 1. But if there's a way that I can make this call more general, meaning I want the weather, and this is probably impossible. Well, it is because we looked at the documentation. If I said, okay, I don't want the weather for just St. Louis. I want the weather for all of Missouri and give me back all those states in 1 call, then yeah. So to answer your question, Andrew, it depends on if the documentation allows it. So if you can find a more general call to get back more data, then do that if you're prepared. But the trade-off is, if I just ask for all of the weather for Missouri to come back in 1 call, that call is going to bring back a lot of data. It's going to bring back a gigabyte of data. So we just sent over and we got back 820 bytes. That's very small, or excuse me, bits. If I send over that, I'm going to get back a wave of data. So 1, I have to make sure my machine is ready for that wave of data. And 2, I don't get a timeout. If I send back too much of a request, and I have like the server's like, okay, I could do this, but it's going to take a while. If it takes too long, you get a thing called a timeout, where it will just cut you off. The server's like, nah, too much. I'm lazy. I'm out, and it will just terminate. So that's called a timeout, and you'll get timeout errors from that. And that is also common if you do too big of a request. Hopefully that helps. See a few more people typing, and we will keep on going. We got a few more seconds, and then we're gonna go ahead into one more thing.
Hey, Kyle,
Yeah, Ryan.
can you talk about what happens during a denial of service attack?
Sure. So when we already talked about sessions, aka when a controller or when a server has only, picture a building. A building to get into there, and like even a library, that's full of information, right? Picture a library. That's a lot of information in there. There are only so many doors to get into a library to get the book that you want. A DDoS attack is one where a machine will take over multiple computers at one time and try to get into all of those doors at one time. Now, if you go to the library and you see every door constantly being fed with people in it, you're not going to be able to get into the library. Now, the thing about DDoS is that everyone going into those doors at that time are just machines making false or dumb requests to block you from all of those doors. Meaning that when a user like me tries to enter the library, I get denied, meaning that I don't get any access to that service at all. So that would be an example of a DDoS attack. And typically you're going to use botnets for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone. So it looks like no more questions, so let's keep going. So here we have our Postman. Postman is really good when we talk as a person to an API. But as we already know, APIs are typically talked between computer and to computer. So Postman offers a really nice thing to help us after we have set up our API to kind of convert it into something that we want. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. So if I come up here, and I believe, I gotta find it again. I always forget where's that. There it is. I come over here and click on code. What I get is a way now to actually make my application or convert what I just typed into Postman into something that is code worthy. So today we're going to be looking at something under Java. Now Java, as you already know, is your application, your server side. This is where all of the stuff that's getting information takes place. So we're going to be building something today that goes into our Java controller, or one of our controllers, that we're going to just get this weather data and work with it. So what I did to begin is that I came into here, I went down here to Java, and I am going to choose Unirest. Why do I do Unirest? Because I have just some background with Unirest. I've never used the HTTP, so I just choose this one because it's my preference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. It created my entire response and exactly what I need to put in Java. Fantastic. Now I come over here to one of my things, and I'm going to go to my home controller, where basically my index is. And what I'm going to do is I want to get weather data, and I want to put it on my home page. That's today's plan. Now beforehand, just because there are a few extra steps that you have to go through, I got it pre-typed, but I'm going to go through exactly what I did. So we just copied that. What I did is I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to just back this out. And there's a few things you have to change in here because Postman tries to help, but they can make errors here from time to time. Now, in here, I am getting an HTTP response back called response, and I'm calling to it, or calling to an API via unirest.get here. And then as you've already seen, this URL here, this is talking to that Open Weather Map API. One thing you need to add if you actually do this is make sure there's an HTTP or an HTTPS always in front of it. So we're going to add that there because Postman forgot, and then we're all good. One more thing, if you do want to try this, what I am using is Unirest here. So it's com.mash shape unirest.http, all that stuff. But what I want to show you here is that we're going to use the power of Gradle to bring it into our projects. So down in build Gradle, this is the line that I added in order for it to work. Don't forget to rebuild your Gradle. Don't forget to rebuild your Gradle. Once we have that, make sure those classes get imported. And what we're going to do here is that we're going to go through it and actually see what happens. So what I'm going to do is going to start up my server in debugging mode so we can actually step through the process. Let it go. Come on. It's going to take an extra second just because it's in debugging mode. Ooh, well, it is starting because it is going to take an extra second. If you're interested in knowing where to find just a collection of APIs, visit Rapid API. I feel like I'm a commercial or an ad right now. Go to rapidapi.com. This is actually a collection of APIs online that they've made that you can actually go in and connect to. And you go into products. I believe they've changed this up on me just a little bit. We'll go to Rapid API Hub. Yeah, it's like, yeah, world's largest hub. I have one or two APIs I used to use through here. They bought out another API hub and they became like the main guys. Yeah. So like here's a flight data API, free SMS APIs, city data API. Isn't that neat? So just a bunch of stuff. So yeah, if you want to come in here and just explore different APIs, it has all the documentation, what you need to actually connect to it, things like that. So let's actually talk about connecting those APIs. So we have our server running here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and connect to localhost 8080. I'm going to press enter, and I believe my debugger is going to catch. So we're going to come over here and make sure it catches. There we go. It's highlighted. It's there. Let's talk about what's going on. We're going to go ahead and set the timeouts. We already talked about what a timeout is. If I set it to 0, it means wait forever, or wait until my server side cuts it off. So it's basically saying there's no client side timeout there, which is a-okay. Then we're actually going to send our request out there using this portion. It's going to send the request out saying, hey, I want information for St. Louis. Here's my API key. It's going to get back a response, this HTTP response. And now that's where we're at. The meat, the good stuff of your responses is in the body. That's where all of your information lies. So that's why we say response.getBody, which is going to be a string. So that is where we're at right now with this checkpoint. Let's go ahead and hop over it one more time. And what I want to show you is the body. This is it right here. It's a giant string full of this stuff. And it probably looks a little familiar because you've seen this in Postman. If we go over to Postman, it's exactly what you see down here. See that core, that lat long. It's exactly the string that we're looking at there. But it's a string. It's something that we can't really utilize. We can't just post this and say, hey, user, go find what you need in this giant string. I'm done. It's not what we do. We need to convert this string into something usable. Like I said, the response came back in a JSON object. So now we need to convert that string to a JSON object. So the next line we're going to run here is this parser, JSON parser, and I include the body, which is up here, which is going to take that string and turn it in to that JSON object that we can utilize, that you're all familiar with. We used it in JavaScript, and we can use it in Java. We can also use it in any other language as well. So now that we're through the parser, it's going to parse that JSON. And let's take a look at what it actually looks like. So the parser's through there. So now what we want to do is say, okay, the parser ran, and we want to get that object, that JSON object, back from the parser. And then we're going to put it into this linked hash map thing here. Now, don't get scared about it saying linked hash map. All it is just still a hash map. Don't let linked scare you or anything like that. It's just a specific type of hash map. And I'm going to call it weather data. So that's all we're doing is getting the object back from the parser and putting it into that hash map. Now we can actually see this thing. Like I said, it's called weather data. Let's go and take a look at what it is. It's a linked hash map. So inside here, we have all of our keys, which is chord, weather, base, main, visibility, wind, stuff like that. And it all has these different objects inside of it. So we have our keys and we have our objects, but we still need to get specifically what we want. The first thing that I'm going to get is our weather. Again, let's go ahead and look at our JSON. This is where it comes out to help. Weather is right here in our response. It's inside of an array, because we see those square brackets, and it's an object. So I need to get an array that has a bunch of objects in it. For Java, it's going to be an array list with that linked hash map thing, which are basically our objects. So what we're going to do is get the key weather from our weather data, from our hash map, and convert it into this array list of hash maps. You probably have been very familiar with an array list of hash maps, haven't you all? Right? Anybody get some assignment 2 PTSD? All
I
right.
have PTSD.
Talking about just for assignment 2, but hopefully it's not that bad. Not for assignment 2, it's passed. We're now on assignment 4. All right, for weather here, we have our array list. And all I want is to get the 0th index of it, which is right here, which is going to tell me I have clouds and few clouds, things like that. So I say, okay, if weather's, which is an array list of size, is greater than 0, then I want to add my description of my weather into my model. You know how to model.add attribute? That's what's going on here. So there we go. We just included our weather description into our model of add attributes. So now we can display that on our website. But I also wanted to do temperature. So we do one more time. I say, hey, weather data, I want to get Maine. I know it's Maine again, because if I went back and I looked at Postman, that's where my weather is. But it's not an array, it's just a hash map. So I say linked hash map there. I say, if it contains temp, then I want you to display this. So then I get back here, temp from temp, which is my hash map, which is the actual temp outside apparently. Whatever, it's how Open Weather Map does it. Here, I put it into a big decimal. Now, if you're asking what the heck big decimal is, I don't know. It's some big decimal thing. It's the data type that Java told me to convert it to whenever I got that error. So this was literally found through trial and error. It's what it was stored in. I was like, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. I'll put it into a big decimal. Sounds good. But I don't like big decimal. So down here, I need to convert that Kelvin into actually Fahrenheit. So what I do is say double value. I get it out of the temp in Kelvin, and I convert it into Fahrenheit, into a double. When I do this, doubles again have 64 bits of just precision. So what I did is I truncated like those 15 repeating decimals down to 2 in this next line. And you've seen how to do this also. You know how to truncate those decimals. You've done it before. A lot of this stuff is what you've seen before. A few extra names here and there's. And absolutely, I put a lot of notes in here because this is accessible out there on GitHub. Finally, I put in the temp into our add attribute, or into our model using add attribute. And then that is it. That's all we have. So if we run it, what happens is we get that it's scattered clouds and it's currently 51.94 Fahrenheit out, as well as all of our dogs that are in our database, of course. Got to have some dogs in there always. And now I can see, oh, is it a good time to go walk my dog with a coat? Yeah. But this is how we can get information that's stored somewhere else in the world onto our website using our Java controller. Again, that was a lot of code here to get to that point. It's all out on GitHub, and I do challenge you and just recommend just going through it and seeing exactly how it happened. Also working with other APIs and seeing what else you can do. Will there ever be a scenario where we don't know exactly what the response will be from the API, where we might not know how it's laid out? Only if you don't try to dig into it a little bit before. You can find it through Postman like we just saw. That's how we know what the structure is going to be. So you can always run it through Postman. If you can't get it from Postman, then the API isn't accessible even through the program. I mean, there's always certain cases, but like 99% of the time, if you can't access it through Postman, it's not going to be accessible through your application. So you should always know how it's laid out. But what about that 1% case? Look at the documentation. Coders will always show you what exactly you should expect back from the call in any scenario, whether it be a good scenario or a bad scenario. So take a look at the documentation if you can't get access to it via Postman. Great question, Andrew. All right, everyone. Any other questions about this? We just saw how to access information across the world. We saw it in Postman with our own eyes, because I wasn't lying, I promise. We actually did something there. And now we're able to actually put it in our controller and show it to our users anywhere where they access that on our website. So we just did a lot. So any questions on any of that? Anything more in depth? Anything at all?
Kyle, when you displayed that JSON data on the web browser, did you do any, like write a HTML script at all to send that in, or was it just displaying the string data from the JSON object?
Are we talking about this right here?
Yes.
So we saw that we added our weather description here under weather in our add attribute. So we included scattered clouds inside of that weather portion. The next one we have is temp. We included our temp after we converted it to Fahrenheit. This is our temp right here. So we included that in our add attributes. So the next step, and I didn't show this, so I'm happy to do so, in our index.html, I brought this in via timeleaf, and I injected that text in there.
That's my question. How was it making some bigger than others? You made a template, okay.
Yep. Yep. For our index template that's also displaying our dogs that we've been using in some examples, I just included this
Yeah.
little text injector.
That's pretty cool.
Cool. All right. How does the back end of the API look like? If we had our own data and we wanted to share it with others, or is that not something to talk about here? Technically, we saw that actually at the very beginning, I guess technically. So in our controller, if I wanted to share all my dogs for whatever reason, so we can do that real quick. It's retrieve or whatever. Do that. And technically we can do response body, just like that. And what we can do is that we can say return. I don't even know how we're going to do this. Let's say dog repository dot find all iterable dogs. But I don't know how I'm trying to convert this to all of a string. String dog data or something like that. We'll just do a really quick iterator. Just for I'm gonna cringe doing this, but just for fun. Less than we gotta get all of our dogs right. List dogs equals dog repository dot find all, just like that. So what you do is you loop over each of your dogs. Dogs dot length. Oh yeah, I'm just not gonna size, but whatever. Essentially what I'm trying to show is that you can just build whatever object you want, but you've already seen this too, is this response body. So whenever you hit this get endpoint, you can send over just a list of your texts saying like, this is all my dog information. And then there can be a computer on the other side of the world that absorbs all your dog information if you wanted it that way. List of dogs, there we go. Sure. I don't care. Go. So that would say, okay, for dog data plus equal dogs dot get of I dot to string. There we go. And then I would say, all right, go ahead and return all of my dogs, all my dog data there. Technically, right? Can you define combine? The question was, can you combine more than one API? You can utilize more than one API. So if you want to hit this,
I guess utilize is what I mean. So I'm thinking like going back to the weather example, and I was looking to see if there were like traffic APIs. So could you be like, if rainy, show traffic cam, da-da-da?
Yeah, absolutely. So in that example,
the weather from one and then the traffic from the other.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you wanted to make a traffic app, yeah, you can get weather to see if it's rainy, get the traffic API to see how bad the roads are, and then you can use a maps API to visualize where it's at in the world. You can utilize as many APIs as you want at once. All I always recommend is that make sure you're using those APIs well, because each of those calls costs time. So if you have 50 APIs you're calling just to do one thing, your user's gonna have to wait a minute or two to get all that information back. And to a user, a minute or two is like 5 eons. So we have to always make sure that we're going as fast as possible.
Makes sense.
Cool, great question. Yeah, absolutely. Is it common in the workplace to use APIs if you needed to connect to a server in Seattle, like access company information held in a different server, or would that information usually be held on the same server? So technically in most corporates, yeah, it's completely possible to be connecting to servers all over the place. For my personal projects, I'll connect to servers in Ohio or Virginia. For my corporate projects, I'll have to connect to a server in Texas as well as servers over in Virginia as well, because Virginia and Ohio are very popular for server farms. So no, there's servers all over the world that you can connect to. Those servers all over the world that you connect to is called the cloud. If you ever hear about the cloud, it means that you're connecting to a server that's out in the wild somewhere that you don't actually know the location to. that you're doing something with it and getting information back from it. You have just connected successfully to the cloud. If you want to do local servers, that means your corporation has to have an entire server farm on property. And Bayer actually just got away from that about 5 years ago. And that's when we went completely to the cloud. So Andrew, the question is, yes, it's completely possible. Great questions, everyone. I hope you like this. This is the true world that you all are getting into, is connecting to different devices and different data sources to make something. Let's go ahead and back over here to this guy. I hope you just work for just a little bit longer. Probably won't, but hopefully we can get my point across. All right. So finishing up here. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. Let's go do some final facts since there's no other questions here. All right. I think these
Oh,
slides
I have
actually
a
work.
question.
Yeah, Amy, what's up?
So what would happen if I can't get the thing to work, like due to an issue with my computer rather than the code?
If your computer can't connect to the API, I would double check what's going on in the code or in Postman.
I mean, like when it comes to our graded stuff.
We'll have to talk offline about that. I don't know specifically the situation. So like I said, I'll be in your group after this and we can talk then.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. All right, everyone, let's gather in. Let's do some final facts for our final lecture here. Before McDonald's made chicken nuggets, they made what kind of other nuggets?
Ribs.
Turkey?
Fish.
Nuggets.
Horse.
Oh gosh, no, not horse. They actually made onion nuggets. Onion nuggets.
Awesome.
Yes, onion nuggets. All right, let's keep going. We're getting healthy today. The fear of
What about
vegetables is
chicken
called
rings?
what?
Emos.
Oh my gosh.
Agoraphobia.
Allotophobia.
Yeah, you had it. Oh my gosh, can't even pronounce it. Yes, you are right.
What
Absolutely.
is
Great job.
hippopotamus coproliophobia?
I do not know.
I'll give you a hint. I have hippopotamus coproliophobia. And a hint is what the long word. Oh wait, dang it, I just said it. It's a fear of long words, but I have the attraction to long words.
Gotcha. Okay, very cool. I did not know that one. All right, last question here. There are blank shapes of pasta in the world.
Million.
300.
A lot.
Infinite. There
Are we
I
counting
actually
like all
heard-
the weird mac and cheese, SpongeBob ones?
Ooh, I don't know if they counted that one in this one. Last pasta census, it said 350 shapes.
Nice.
350 shapes in the world. Very good, everybody. Gotta love that.
Yeah, it's probably not counting like different character shapes or like even the sizes being different either. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't question the integrity of the count. Just got this information, but you're probably right. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and we're going to talk about one more thing here today. I know, Sky, same. All right, let's talk about essentially where we are in development and where we're planning on going to. You right now have the know-how of essentially the entire platform of the internet. You have started out in the UI, the client side. You were working with HTML, JavaScript, and you've been transferred over now to the Java side, the server side. And then you've even moved past that. You've moved to the persistence layer where the database lives, where your information lives. This is how all things are created. So you have the know-how to create any kind of application that you want. So from this information, from all of the things that you have learned in this class, essentially you have learned the basics. You have learned and you have a heavy architecture of everything that has been going on in coding. So from this, you only get to choose how you grow. When it comes to growing, the only way to continue with your development in development is through wisdom and getting your hands dirty. People always ask is, once I know everything, or once I have completed this class and I need to move on, or how do I keep enhancing my skills? The answer is always try to develop your own project, one that you truly care about and that no one else, even if you told them they would be nice and smile, but you would be absolutely passionate about. This is the way you truly get addicted to development, in a sense that it enhances your skills to where you want to be when you go into that corporate environment. So a lot of people were like, okay, I want to create a project, but I have no idea how. Anything you do in your daily life, anything that you truly feel passionate about, whether it be cooking, playing chess, a board game, even sleeping. If you have nothing else but you love sleeping, you can create an application out of literally anything. A sleeping timer. How well did I sleep? Anything like that. For when it comes to chess, you can create chess timers. You can create just keeping data there consistent about your gaming experience. You can find a way to create an application out of something. And what I challenge you to do is to find that something that you're truly passionate about, to start coding with it. It's how you truly get into the things that we have learned in a different mindset, one that you want to know more about it so you can improve your application that you're working on. Now, when it comes to this actual creation of the application, what I do recommend is that find out what you want to do and focus on the main portions. Focus on the small steps. If you wanted to create that sleeping timer, I don't know why, because maybe I'm sleepy or something like that. Focus on the small things. Okay, I want to just create a UI right now, and I just want to create a simple timer. Take those baby steps. Start off small. Just create the site. Just create the Git mapping. Start there. And then keep trying to enhance your project. Do not try to overreach right from the start. Do not try to overreach right from the start. One, that's how you get lost in your own project. You're going to get lost within a dream, within a dream, within a dream. You don't want to get lost in your project. And two, that's how you get burnt out, because you have so many small things going on that you just lose track of what you're doing and just throw your hands up in the air as like, I'm done. This is just getting annoying at this point, especially when you run into those problems. Start off small. Take those baby steps towards your goal and remember the step that you're on in the next one after that. Do not get sidetracked. Do not get lost. Because again, that's how you get completely sidetracked and you never get a completed project, or it's how you get burnt out. I'm speaking this not because of what I've observed, but also but what I've been through. This is how the best way to approach learning as you progress, I could possibly recommend. In addition, as you move towards liftoff, these steps will also help you out. When you come to your liftoff project, you will need to identify the milestones that you want to get to. How are you going to get those 3 features to 5 features that you need? You're going to do it by taking baby steps towards those milestones. But always make sure you focus on one milestone at a time. Prioritize. In the end, when you are there, you're making those baby steps, you're making those strides towards your milestones. Make sure you're always still challenging yourself as well. If it feels like it's going to be difficult, just make sure that you really keep track of where you're at as you're moving forward, but don't be afraid to try something new, try something different, because usually there's a bigger payoff and an actual burden in the end. So definitely challenge yourself too when it comes to this project, but also making sure that you stay on course. It's the biggest thing I could ever recommend to all of you as you move forward as coders. Keep challenging yourself, stay on task, stay on focus, and just keep learning. In this environment, it is absolutely crucial to keep learning. So keep trying to figure out new things, keep practicing the old things, coming back to it, and really, in the end, have fun with it. Coding doesn't always have to be a job. It's a puzzle to a lot of us. It's a way that we can approach problems and fix things. So remember that in the end, it is a job, but also have fun with what you're doing, because only with fun comes creativity and the want to get out of the bed every day and go back into there and start typing and keep working on these projects. So that is my biggest recommendation as you all awesome coders move forward into liftoff and into your future wherever you might go. Mark, yes. So as the red leader says, stay on target. And yes, that is absolutely correct. Stay on target. All right, one last thing for all of you. A lot of people always ask, how about the content that's online? The content will stay online. Don't worry about it. It'll stay accessible for quite some time until that next unit starts up here in January. So once it starts up in January, you might see all the JavaScript lectures and everything off the channel, but they'll just become unlisted. If you really do like one of the specific lectures, studios, or exercises, feel free to bookmark it, and they will still work. Bookmark them, it will still work, but you will not see them on my channel anymore once JavaScript starts up again in January. Java will still be accessible, but like I said, as we move into Java with the next unit, I'll also have to take it off there and it'll just keep repeating. So bookmark, bookmark, bookmark. Another question is always, how about Slack? Because we had so many good communications, things like that. It will usually stay active for about a month or two. I still have some launch code Slacks that are still active out there. They typically stay online for quite some time. So don't worry about that too much. Typically they give you if they are going to shut it down, they'll give you an indication, but I have yet to have any that have truly been shut down. With that, it is my privilege, my honor, and absolute sadness to say that we are officially finished with our lectures here. That was it. Fantastic to everyone out there. Thank you so much all for paying attention. You all have just been fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Just like with working with me, sticking through all of it, just dealing with all my dad jokes and my dog examples. Every single interaction I've had in this class has been absolutely great. You all are fantastic. So keep working towards your development goals. You guys will definitely get there. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the, you guys can unmute yourself. If you have any final questions, let me know. Anything about the things that we went over here. We'll leave it open for 2 more minutes for any other final questions that.
Is there a way for us to contact you after everything's done?
Great question. Yes, actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to post both, all 4 things of information. If you need to reach out to me for anything, where's my Slack at? I'm going to go and share my information right now, as well as Open Weather Map and Postman. That stuff real quick in the announcements.
What specifically are you sharing?
1 second there. All right, so I just shared it in the announcements there. So the information from class, I had the weather map, weathermap.org website from that, the Postman one, what we use to actually see those APIs. And then my name, Kyle Wegner, as always. My email, if anybody needs to get a hold of me, as well as my LinkedIn. If you guys, or if anybody out there wants to connect on LinkedIn, awesome, extremely happy to do so. Just make sure that 1, you have launch code in your classes or somehow say launch code in your profile. If you don't have that, just put that in the message that you're somebody from Launch Code. If I see an invite that I don't exactly know who they're from and nothing about Launch Code, I typically will leave it in the invitation section, just because I'm afraid that they're going to be like recruiter headhunters or something like that. So just put that in there, and I'm happy to connect.
What about like,
is
there a phone?
What was that?
Is that why you haven't accepted mine yet?
Oh, are you on there, Jason? Probably.
Yeah.
Actually. Do you not have launch code?
You know, I haven't finished building it, so that's probably why you skipped it. I saw that you looked at it, but you just let it sit there. So I said, okay.
Got left up red.
Yeah.
See that? Okay. I got
Do you have a way
here.
that we would be able to, if we need to after launch code, is there a way we can contact you through a phone or something?
I right now only do email. So if you need to contact me through anything like that, feel free to do Slack, feel free to do email. Those are my main ways of communication. You can also contact me through LinkedIn or anything like that.
I just sent you a message. I just put LC101 as a note.
Awesome. Sounds good. And Jason, we are officially friends on LinkedIn. I just accepted it.
That's good for you, Kyle. It's your honor.
I'm honored. Thank you, Jason, for the connection. Awesome, everyone. Let me see here. Just make sure there's no other questions. Oh, I think you all.
Wait, so you went to Missouri S&T?
I did, yep.
Did you get dumped in Alice?
I did not. No, that has been outlawed quite some time.
My dad said they started it again, I thought.
I don't think so. No, they got more strict actually over the years.
What is Alice? What's in Alice other than puke?
You're going to have to ask your dad.
Wait, what do you mean by outlawed? Like they made it illegal?
I don't believe it's allowed anymore on campus.
But is it actually illegal or?
I think dunking anybody in that kind of substance was probably breaking at least one law.
Even
All
if
right.
you ask to be put in it?
I don't know. I have not ever thought about the specific cases. I just
went
would
to
not want to
the
be on
It's
there.
a Girl Thing camp.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Okay.
I
Hi,
like
just want to
soldering.
say thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so
Tyler.
much.
All right.
We're gonna miss
Uh,
it.
we're definitely going to
Yes.
miss
All
it.
right, everyone. Yeah, I'm